Okay, let's see here. Okay, missing a few people. Got a minute yet?
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Gail.
Mr. Talbot, hello. Bob, nice to see you.
Good evening.
All right, bye, Hamid.
Okay, we're missing Phil, I believe.
He's supposed to call in, but he had cataract surgery this morning, so
Oh,
may not.
really? Wow.
He might have been overly optimistic.
Mm.
We'll give him just another minute here.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello,
everybody.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? We do have a forum here, so we'll get started. Hopefully, Phil will be able to join us in a minute. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Reading Municipal Light Department Board of Commissioners is being recorded via Zoom for distribution to the community television stations in Reading, North Reading, Wilmington, and Lynnfield. The RMLD Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of hearing public comment at the discretion of the chair on items on the official agenda as well as on items not on the official agenda. We ask that all questions or comments from the public be directed to the chair and that all parties, including members of the RMLD board, act in a professional and courteous manner when addressing the board or responding to comments. Once recognized by the chair, all persons addressing the board shall state their name and address prior to speaking. It is the role of the chair to maintain order in all public comment or ensuing discussion. So let's see, Phil is usually our board secretary, but if he's not here, Mr. Hennessy, would you be the secretary of this?
Gladly.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move into public comment. We'll start first with the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board. And George, are you there? George Hooper was going to attend. Oh, George is not here. Okay. We've got someone connecting with audio. Okay, we may have to come back to him. Liaisons to the RMLD board. This is Vanessa or Karen, and I don't believe they are with us tonight either, are they? No. Well, if they come in, we'll certainly talk to them. If there's any comments from the public, we could certainly chat about that right now. I'd ask you to limit any discussion to no more than 2 minutes. So I'd like to open that up for public comment. Yes, Johannes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep this pretty brief. My name is Johannes Epke. I'm a staff attorney at Conservation Law Foundation, and I'm attending tonight because I became aware of RMLD's interest in a clean energy policy that I saw on the agenda tonight, and the inclusion of biomass in that policy, and would just love to caution the board against the inclusion of biomass in any definition of clean energy, and very happy to present to the board on our concerns about biomass and the future reliance by RMLD as shown in the meeting package for the next several decades on that, and would be happy to take any questions now or during the relevant agenda sections, or prepare some a presentation for the board at a future time that is convenient for you.
Great.
I'll leave it at that. So thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair, and thank you to the
Yeah,
board.
thank you, Johannes. Thank you very much. Anyone else care to speak?
How do I do that?
I'm sorry.
I'd like to speak. I guess I didn't know I wasn't unmuted. Carolyn Whiting. I live at 17 Chestnut Road in Reading. I'm a supporter of the Greater Reading Alliance for Clean Energy, and I learned from them that RMLD has plans to purchase energy from a woody biomass plant proposed by developer Palmer Renewable Energy once it has been constructed. Having read the article about the proposed plant in the October 20th, 2020 issue of the Boston Globe, I don't believe that Palmer is the type of company with which I would want our local homes or businesses connected. I am concerned about high levels of carbon emissions and other emissions from biomass energies such as fine particulate matter, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and other harmful pollutants, not only because of their contribution to climate change, but also because of harmful health effects on people living nearby. Because I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, and because of my concerns regarding environmental justice in general, I'm especially concerned about the proposed location of this biomass plant in a neighborhood of Springfield that already has high levels of pollution and high numbers of people with asthma and other respiratory health issues. I expect that other residents and companies in the RMLD service area are likely to share my concerns regarding using energy generated from biomass. Thank you for your consideration of my views.
Thank you, Carolyn. We certainly appreciate that. We did see the article in the Globe, and it's been circulated to the commissioners this past week, as it turns out. We'll be addressing some of these probably in a limited way here a little bit later in the conversation.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd care to speak? If not, I'd like to move on to our next item.
Mr. Chairman.
John, you got somebody?
Yes, John? Yes.
Sorry, John Rogers, 39 Tower Hill Road in North Reading. And I just wanted to follow up. Thank you all for the time during last month's meeting to talk about, in particular, the REC issue. And I know that the clean energy policy that Johannes referred to is on the agenda for today. And I just wanted to come back to that because I know it's still as it was written before. I'm not sure what the process for modifying it, editing it, amending it will be, but I think what I should have done last time is along with thanking you more, is summarize basically as we see it. There are three options. You can keep RMLD. We can keep all our RECs and make claims about all that renewable energy. We can sell all our RECs and have that money and not make claims about having the renewable energy. But I'd like to propose a third, that there's probably something in between that, where because Chuck has very nicely laid out sort of, here's what we got for RECs, all that, sell anything that's, keep whatever we need to meet whatever target RMLD has set for a certain year, sell anything else so that we do get that revenue and that we can make the claims up to the extent that we have those RECs. So I just wanted to be clear that there are three options. We can't mix and match. We can't sell them all and still make all the claims, but we can sell some and still make claims about the ones we keep. So I just wanted that to be just clear.
Thank you, John. Certainly we'll take that under consideration. I'd like to just move on to our next item, and then we'll circle back here a little bit later to chat about that. This is the report of the Citizen Advisory Board meeting that was held just a few minutes ago that I was the representative to. And since George isn't here oh wait, here's George.
He's logging in, yeah.
Oh, good. I'll let him comment on that because we'll both be saying the same thing.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. Hi,
Need to
George.
find a link. How we doing, everybody?
Right. This is very fortunate, George, because we're right at the point of you reporting on the Citizens Advisory Committee that we just came from.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, actually, we just went through a presentation by Hamid and Wendy. We had the operating budget and the capital budget. Both presentations went well. I won't give out the amounts. I'll let you guys when you get the presentation, but I found it to be very informative, and I think it was very well laid out.
Thank you, George. And both motions were approved unanimously to approve the
Correct.
budget and the capital budget.
You're not reviewing that tonight, are you, in your meeting?
I think we'll wait to have it presented to the
Right.
Board of
I thought
Commissioners
you
first to be able to.
you needed time for review, and then.
That's correct. Exactly right. Right. We're at item number 6, which is approval of the board minutes. And there's a motion attached to that, which I believe Phil would usually read. But since Mr. Hennessy is filling in for him, perhaps you could read that approval of board minutes action item. Dave? Oh, you're on mute. Yeah.
And I don't have it right here in front of me.
Okay.
Does anybody else on the board have it?
I have it, but I can't read it. I mean, I can't read it. I can
You're allowed
physically
to
read it. I can't make the motion. Dave, do you have it, Talbot?
Yeah, you want me to read it off move that we approve the minutes from the 2 sets of minutes that are on the time that are on the.
Yeah, there's 4 sets: January 23rd, April 21st, April 30th, and May 23rd.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call the agenda up. Why don't you give me a minute and we'll move on. I'll come back to it.
Okay, that would be just fine. We're now moving into the general manager's report. Ms. O'Brien? Colleen?
Sorry.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I'd like to welcome Greg Phipps. He's our new Integrated Resources Division Assistant Director. And I won't introduce anybody, but we have John Stempek, who you met earlier. Dave Hennessy is one of our board members, and Dave Talbot. And Phil Pacino is not here, and then Robert Coulter down the end. So I guess you can meet Phil next time. Greg is, he's bringing a lot of years of experience in demand management, wholesale power supply, and distributed generation. He's got a big passion for solar. He's worked extensively with other Massachusetts MLPs. He's got a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, a master's degree in business admin. He's been here about a week. He's hit the ground running. He's doing a great job, providing lots of value, and we're really happy to have him on our team. He's succeeding Bill Selden, who will be retiring at the end of the year, along with a handful of other people. We typically, during the Public Power Open House Week, we have an Employee Appreciation Day, which I think we're going to push forward in the first week of December, not only give out, recognized service awards, but also, let our retirees know how much we appreciated their support for the time that they've been working. So we're gonna do that in December. We'll let you know. Moving on with some community updates. I just wanted to kind of reiterate where we are on these. The new air source heat pump, which we launched in the 1st of October. We subsequently hired Abode Energy to help with the not only the contractors, but the customers to provide educational and technical resource. That's going very well. We got about 35 in the queue at this time. The virtual Public Power Week that we wanted to do some great things for the kids. We had virtual story time, video, kids experiment activity, energy efficiency photo scavenger hunt. The RMLD line worker video and the Public Power in Massachusetts videos are both up on the website, so you can check those out. At the same time frame, we had National Drive Electric Week, in which we did 2 virtual test drives released to raise the awareness and educate customers in plug-in vehicles. We had 93 hits on YouTube for the RMLD Bolt, and we had 189 YouTube hits on the Tesla 3, in which Reading customer Eric Kramer was kind enough to provide. Our voluntary fourth grade art contest is going really well. That's where we have the kids participate in electrical safety with prizes. This is in partnership with all of the schools in all 4 towns. And then the 2021 historical calendar that we do every year is getting ready to come out around Thanksgiving. Because the Board of Health has still kept 230 Ash Street public building closed, we will be putting a kiosk, you know, those ones that you typically can open and get the real estate flyer or something out of. We're going to put one of those in front of the building. And then the rest of the locations seem to be able to provide an opportunity for us to give drop-offs like we have in the past. So it's really just at our building. Other than that, everything's going well. That's my update. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And I can take care of the minutes now, Mr. Chair, if you'd like.
Oh, yes, please. Please, thank you, Dave.
If we're ready, move that the board approve the meeting minutes of January 23rd, 2020, April 21, 2020, April 30, 2020, and May 23rd, 2020 on the recommendation of the general manager.
Second.
Any discussion? That's for John to say, I guess.
No, that didn't even say that. Great. That's
Sorry,
okay.
John.
Not a problem. If there's no discussion, could we just have a roll call vote? Mr. Stempak, aye.
Hennessy, aye.
Mrs. Talbot, aye.
Coulter, aye.
Thank you. We have another item here under the general manager's report, which is the review of board policy for policy number 30, which is the clean energy policy. And, you know, this is something that, quite frankly, why a lot of you are here tonight, really to sort of talk about and whatnot. I'm going to make 2 suggestions here tonight. Well, the first is I'd like to table the approval of that policy until November, because a number of the items in the wording of that policy, I think, need to be changed. And I think many of the commissioners feel exactly the same way. So we want to be very judicious in terms of what we change in it and how we change it. And clearly that includes, you know, future uses of any biomass. So that certainly is tangent to what we're talking about here. The second issue is, and I know you're all concerned about biomass from this particular plant, and to be very open to this and transparent, I think we were just quite unaware of the extent of the controversy surrounding this particular plant. And especially came home, I think, this week when we saw the Globe article. And then, of course, I sent it around to all of the board members. And in addition, a number of you have sent in significant amounts of both sort of information, data, links, et cetera, which we can't possibly digest. not this week. Just, you know, it's a volunteer job in the first place, right? So we will look at it. We'll take and try to do the right thing by it. And we'll certainly open it up for discussion at our next meeting, but I think it's premature for us to have an intelligent discussion about it tonight, because you literally just gave it to us this week, actually a couple of days ago. So we're not making any recommendations as far as that's concerned. I would like to give some guidance, though, to our general manager in the form of a motion. And Mr. Talbot, could I ask you for making a motion?
Sure, and I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I would just first make just a couple brief comments from my perspective as one of the 5 board members here. After doing a lot of reading on it, you know, it is worth pointing out that over the course of its lifetime, this plant would burn, you know, millions of tons of wood trucked in by a lot of tractor trailers driving up and down the Mass Pike. And it's not really a carbon-free facility. And I think that at the very highest level, I would like to see, as speaking for myself, that the $150 million that's proposed to be spent to build this facility would be far better spent other ways, perhaps on a very large regional grid battery that would be, you know, a boon to renewable energy and that I would encourage all parties to, start rethinking what we do here. The second thing I'd like to just point out is that, it has been a lot of publicity and email traffic and so on about it. It's been pointed out that the plant may technically comply with a state permit, but that the reason that this would be the case is that the governor has proposed to weaken relevant regulations to make it so, and also to make it qualify for certain subsidies. And so it's not just an environmental, groups that are opposing it. The Attorney General of the Commonwealth called those steps, those administrative steps, quote, a step backwards. So I think it's important to remember some of that context. And third, as also we know, that a plant like this gets built when it gets contracts, and RMLD has entered into a contract to purchase the power. And I think we're all wanting to have a full understanding of all this. And so I think we need to look at that. And going forward, I hope that the community continues to be involved in our power supply and in voicing what they would like us to do, including some of our largest customers. What kind of power would you like to see RMLD buying? And if it's going to cost a few dollars more for it to be cleaner, are you willing to support that? I think that's an important question to be asking going forward. To get back to what the chair just said, I think we want to take a look at this in light of the publicity and in light of the many statements that we thank you for. And that would be the following, which is that, move that the Board of Commissioners direct the general manager to explore all options relative to the disposition of our Palmer biomass contract. And that would starting by working with the board to retain outside counsel not previously engaged on the issue.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, could I call for a roll call vote?
I think Bob Coulter.
Oh, Bob,
has a
I'm sorry.
comment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I guess one item, always concern yourself with poison pills, right? Right before something happens. There's a driver behind everything. So that said, it's very, very wise to sit back and absorb information, because there might be something, there's always something behind someone telling you not to do something. So that's the first thing. And secondly, there are positive things about burning wood. You go down to the Reading compost area, right? You see a giant pile of wood that sits there. Where's that going to go? Right? That's biomass. And we all, you don't think like that. And that biomass gets generated all over the state. It gets generated in every town. Everyone turns their debris there. So it just sits there and accumulates. This is a way to burn it. It's not all negative. I just want to make that point of view present.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. And I would just add, and appreciate that comment. And one piece of this, I think that maybe even if we have different viewpoints on the merits of a particular power supply, perhaps that we as a board should have more of a governance role over awareness of power supply, power purchase agreements, and a voting step, and take a look at that from a governance perspective, and be able to understand these things at the board level. And again, to come back and hear from our community, whether it's the viewpoint that Bob just expressed or others about what we would like our power supply to be. And so
thank you, Dave. I think, as regards that, we can probably codify that into print at one of our next meetings. I think it's a good idea.
John, can I make a comment?
Yes, please, Dave, go ahead.
I'm actually curious with Johannes here. I was wondering if you can just give us a feel for the different biomass, maybe not their planning in Palmer, because I'm sure there's a lot of controversy and stuff, but just in general, I'm curious about, we're reading a lot about biomass and the controversy around it. Are most biomass facilities burning that's been cut down? And it's not scrap wood that the type Bob talked about, or the tree trimmings and things like that? Like, what's the general sense of most of the wood burning biomass plants? What are they mostly burning? I'm just curious.
Well, there's a big variety in biomass plants. So I spent a lot of time practicing in Oregon, where a lot of the lumber mills have a wood burning facility on site. That kind of facility makes a lot more sense because there's not the transportation emissions that Dave referenced in, trucking this stuff from all over the state. There are certainly limitations in the permits in terms of what they are allowed to burn, but from a physical design perspective, they can burn anything from residential compost to chipped dried wood, which is better, to what they call tire derived fuel, basically chipped tires. These things can burn basically anything you put in them, and so the enforcement is certainly a piece that we are very concerned about, that is often lacking at these kinds of facilities. The pile of wood chips at a municipal lot is a small fraction of the very, very large fuel inputs that a facility, it's something like a 43 megawatt facility that will require tons of fuel, and where they're sourcing that from is also of great concern. So the big piece, yes, putting wood to good use and getting fuel out of it is a valuable proposition. But from a climate perspective, it's also not a neutral source, in that the term that we're talking about, to grow a tree back, is not valuable in the time frame that we need to address carbon emissions, right? So you chop a tree down and burn that wood, you don't get that carbon back out of the air for 30, 40, 50 years until that tree is mature. The Roadmap 2050 bill contemplates very significant reductions in carbon emissions over the coming decades, and so the time frame is just not quite there. Biomass is a broader term, and so when you're talking about switchgrass or palm derived oils that other countries and other climates frankly are more suited to produce and use, make more sense, because there's a 1 year turnaround, 2 year turnaround in terms of the carbon neutrality of that biomass source. But when you're talking about some of these are decades old trees that we are now incentivizing being cut down and burned, there frankly isn't enough. If we're thinking about the trees or the twigs and the leaves that we're collecting from a municipal compost stream, that's just not a sufficient source for a facility this size, unless you're sourcing it from very far away, and then you really have to consider those transportation emissions in that calculation as well. So it's a very complicated. There's a lot of variables, and I'm not speaking specifically just about Palmer here. I think looking at any such facility requires looking at all of those inputs, all of those calculations, and so I'll leave it there, but I'm happy to.
Great.
Thank you. Very, very helpful. Thank you.
The one other sentence on that is, I think if we wanted to understand the relative merits of this plant, we might look at why many other municipal light plants elected not to enter into contracts with this particular proposed facility, and why they decided not to. So that would be one thing I'd be interested in knowing.
Well, I think that's right, and I think again we'll leave that up to the general manager to provide us with a full report on all of those different items. So can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hennessy, aye.
Mr. Stenbeck, aye.
Mr. Talbot, aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to move on to integrated resources. Chuck, power supply, please.
Good evening. I've got the typical slide pack to start with. One of the questions throughout 2020 has been how COVID-19 has impacted us. And if you take a look, we have both the forecast for 2020 and the actual results for 2019 up here. And what we saw for the first 3 months of the year, again, was weather related impacts on the load. Just January, February, and March ran about 3% below what was anticipated, and actually were lower than 2019 due to the fact that 2020 was the warmest winter on record. As we got into the summer, we saw a a very hot June, and that showed in the loads. July was as expected. August was a little high, and September down to be slightly higher than a year ago and a little bit below the forecast. So we seem to be tracking very well, but what I think is important for the point at which we've arrived in the year is that we are not seeing dramatic COVID-19 impacts. Our largest industries did not take a hiatus. The school closed for the last 2 months of the school year, but most of the negative impact on our
You cut out, Chuck? Chuck, we can't hear you.
one that's considered as the budget is evaluated, is that we've simply said we're going to hold our loads going forward at 2020. I looked up what NOAA is predicting for this coming winter, and again, it is predicted to be average temperatures. So we are expecting it to be warmer and therefore use less fuels for heating and distribution networks. We have not seen a resumption of traffic into Boston as a result of not reopening the core buildings there. So commuter traffic is down and people are still working from home, with the exception of the manufacturing jobs. So basically, we're recommending that we hold the course in terms of the load forecast. And then this plays into the expenses that we have. Tracy, if you could move to the next slide, please. What we've been seeing is that actual costs have been running below the budget numbers. And as a result, our power costs overall have been lower, and the rates that we have charged to this point in the year have been lower. And I don't expect that there's going to be an escalation of cost through the end of the year, which would be essentially the fourth quarter this year. The next three slides just show the breakdown between energy, capacity, and transmission. They are the ones that we present each and every time. And you can see that our portfolio is behaving as we expected that it would. So basically, things are going well, and we don't expect them to change for the rest of the year. Tracy, the next slide, please. I had the opportunity just over a week ago to meet with the Climate Action Committee and give them an update on what we have been doing. And I have presented the slide deck that I used that evening so that the commissioners can see what information we are presenting essentially to the town, since the Climate Action Committee, I believe, takes this information and rolls it into reports to the select board. I'm not going to repeat the whole presentation tonight, but I did provide the package, the point of awareness. And this is my report.
Great. Thank you very much, Chuck. Appreciate that. In the financial report, Wendy?
Good evening. So I just wanted to give you a financial update through August 31st, 2020. So I want to give you some highlights of what's happening in the business finance section. We recently hired a new credit and collections manager, well overdue there, so we're very excited. We managed to file the 2019 DPU return on September 30th, which was on time. We distributed the calendar year 21 budget on October 1st, and we had the CAB presentation of that budget earlier tonight. We have the Board of Commissioner presentation of the budget in November, and upcoming major expenses and obligations. We have a pension obligation transfer to the Mass Municipal Depository Trust in December of $2.1 million. We have our second half of the 2% net payments to the 4 towns at the end of December of $803,000. And then we have the second half of the town of Reading payment at the end of December as well, which is $1.2 million. So I'm just giving you a quick look at the operating and maintenance expenses January through August. So I can tell you right now that we are far under budget, but it's been quite a year. And we are hoping to level out in some areas, but the projection is that we're going to end the year at about $1 million for operating and maintenance expenses under budget. Excuse me. Go ahead, Tracy. Thank you. So I just want to give you some highlights of why we're under budget and in particular areas for it. So the one main area that we're seeing under budget are vacancies, and it's across the entire organization, and it's due to the talent pool, the retirees and resignations. Of course, these are retirees and resignations that we were not aware of, and this is causing a decrease in spending. So when you look at the financials that were attached to the package, we report everything based on FERC. So it's easy for you to identify based on the FERC number what I'm referring to. So FERC 580 is your grid asset management. FERC 582 is your station technicians. 588 is your materials management or your purchasing department. And then you have your group of linemen that are vacant, which affects 593, 94, and 98. And resource engineers for 916, and then your IT and admin staff under 920. Now, there were quite a lot of expenses that were halted or decreased because of COVID. And again, that's in FERC numbers 593 for your tree trimming program that was halted or decreased. 598, which is your vacation opportunities that the employees were not either able to take because we couldn't travel or because the demands on the RMLD were just too much to handle any missing individuals. FERC 916, you have your home energy audits, which were halted or decreased and your program activity was diminished. FERC 923, your education and training programs were canceled or diminished. 923, your legal proceedings were canceled or postponed. But I am expecting that to even out because now things are getting back on schedule. And then FERC 926 is your health insurance, which is decreased, and a lot of that's due to the vacancies. And then we did have some unforeseen spending, which offset some of the decreases. 935 roof repairs, and then the second portion of 935, the security monitoring measures for the IT infrastructure, and that was mainly due to the ransomware. So I've been keeping you up to date on COVID, same as Chuck, and mainly, cash is king, so we're concerned with bringing in the cash. And we do monitor this, particularly through accounts receivable. The sales are what they are, but if the customers cannot pay timely, then we cannot strategically continue to plan. But I got to say that everything is, knock on wood, we're doing okay. So when we look at the 30-day turnaround, you can see from 2018, 2019, and 2020 that we're creeping back up on 2020. So when I was looking at it from March through May, we were coming down, and then hit the low point in June, and now you can see that yellow line is starting to come back up, and it's evening out. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. And then the next slide shows the 90-day look, which is really what I measure most of it on based on timing. And you have your August. Again, we're right around the 95% mark. So that means we have 95% of our receivables in-house within 90 days. So when you look at the 30 days, the one thing it does tell you is a lot of the customers are not taking advantage of their prompt payment discount. So, that's two-sided. So we're not gaining the cash fast enough, but at the same time, they're not getting the discount that they could get. So we are still working very hard to help our customers. There have been some small businesses that had to shut down. We're trying to work with them to get some payment plans, and all of our efforts and the fact that the customers are working with us, it's working.
Can I ask a question here?
Please go right ahead.
I've noticed you've been presenting on this the last couple months, Wendy, and it's a pretty significant difference, isn't it?
Yes.
What you've noticed here.
Well, it started off as about a 6% difference compared to what we typically would see. So it was a 6% decrease in how quickly the cash turns around.
Yeah.
And that does make a difference. So that's what we're certainly monitoring that, for many reasons. But we're coming back around, so I'm pleased.
All right. If you're not concerned.
No, I don't. I think Chuck and I are on the same page here as far as that. Everything is we're managing to stay above it. This is good.
Good. Thanks.
That concludes my presentation. Any other questions?
Great, thank you, Wendy. We do have a action item here for the OPEB Declaration of Trust. Perhaps Wendy or Colleen, could you provide a little bit of background on this, please?
Colleen, you're on mute. Did you want to?
Do you want to talk to this, Colleen? There you go.
Yes. Yeah, there's just minor changes that we had both town council and our council go through. The law allows the Board of Commissioners to choose the trustee. And in this case, you appointed the town treasurer, and he was looking for some an ability to not be told by the commission that he would no longer be the trustee. Like the Board of Commissioners retains the right in accordance with the law to make a decision to change trustees. And it's more than likely not going to be personal. It's probably more focused on perhaps maybe the town is being a little bit too aggressive. Maybe we want to be less aggressive in our investments. So you retain that right under the law. So there was some language that went back and forth, and we clarified some items, and I think both parties are good. There's some minor adjustments that we could sign off on, and then the town will is signing, and then they will start to invest in PRIT, which is the retirement fund board that oversees the retirement funding. So they had made a presentation that it was about a 7% return. Right now it's sitting, I believe, in a money market fund for not that much. So we're very interested in getting this signed and having the town treasurer, invested into the PRIT.
Thank you, Colleen. Could I ask one of the commissioners to read the motion, please? Does anyone have it in front of them?
Dave, I didn't bring it up. Did you still? Dave, did you keep it?
Pulling it up.
I could
I'm
read
gonna
it.
get ready, John, for the next one. I'm gonna open it up now. As a secretary, I've been really dropped the ball as secretary today. I'm gonna need some training from Phil.
That's right.
So you want me to do it?
Sure, go ahead.
This is 9B.
Yeah.
Move that the Board of Commissioners adopt the amendments to the Declaration of the Trust as set forth in the proposed amendment and restated Declaration of Trust presented by the General Manager.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, could I call for a roll call vote, please? Mr. Stempak, aye.
Mr. Talbot.
Mr. Hennessy, aye.
Skolter, aye.
Thank you. Okay, great. We're on to item number 10, the engineering and operations report. Hamid?
Yes, sir. Good evening. This is the report for the month of October. So the first slide. As you can see, the construction projects, they're continued and they're in progress. The big ones are, right, the major ones. It's the major construction of the North Main Street and Lowell Street in Lenfield. That's the area upgrade, the step-down conversions. So we got two portions, overhead and underground. They're both moving along. This project is big. It's going to be a huge improvement to the reliability of the people in town on Linfield. And due to COVID-19, this project was moving slowly, but we're trying to catch up toward the end of the year. So hopefully we can finish this by end of the year. The second construction, major construction, is the switchgear replacement. These are the 29, part of the 29 total switchgears that, we got in the system. These are aged and antiquated. We needed to upgrade them. So every year we do 5 of them. This year we've done 2. And these are the 2 more that the one completed, the Haven Street in Reading. And there is another one that is scheduled to be replaced actually this Saturday. And this is a big job that is going to be done on River Park Drive in North Reading. So we ordered more switches, and 3 of them, they arrived this year, late this year, so we couldn't schedule 3 more, but definitely this process is going to continue going to CY21 to replace the rest of them. The next slide, please. All right, this shows the analog electric vehicle charging stations. As you know, we are installing 7 dual chargers at analog parking lot. This is the new parking lot that they have. These are the pictures. The job is completed now, 100%. And tomorrow,
for those of you who don't know, this is analog devices over in Wilmington.
Right. So this is completed, and the contractor finished the job. Tomorrow, the wire inspector is going to inspect it, and hopefully everything passes, and then they're ready to be used, utilized. So that shows the picture of some of the progress that they made. The next slide, please. Marion Street, Wilmington line extension, phase 2. This is actually, we've made more progress this week. So this is close to 85% complete now. And this is another one that's going to be completed. This complete overhaul, pool overhead, primaries, secondaries, connectors, everything is being upgraded in that area, which is major to that section of the Wilmington, to the reliability. The other project is the manhole repairs in all towns. The 30 manholes that during inspection, we found that they're in poor conditions, the chimney walls and everything needed to be reconstructed due to the damage, the weather damage. So we have completed this project with the exception of 5 that it's going to be done in the spring of 2021. That's on Main Street, Reading. All others, they're fixed. They're in good condition now. The construction projects that recently we completed, these are Westover and Kenwood Road in Wilmington, the area upgrade, which was, again, this was a 13.8 kV upgrade, which these upgrades that we do as a 13.8 kV conversions, they are actually reducing the total system losses, which is the typical utilities. They have anywhere between 5 to 7% losses. I'm glad to report that in our system, with all the upgrades that we've done and the maintenance that we've done, we have brought that down to 3.5%. So it's good. That means, savings for the ratepayers. The next slide, please.
That's really huge, Hamid, isn't it? I mean, that's basically half of the losses have been recovered.
Oh, definitely. This is the money that, part of it, it's like what I said, major contribution to that is the maintenance work that, it has been done, and we continue to do that. And, that's actually, we are among one of the few utilities that they have that kind of losses. The other utilities, they're much higher. The other projects are power factor optimization, software implementation. As I've been saying in previous reports, right now we have the outage management system and IVR integration completed, and the system, it's part of the SCADA system, and the outage map that is going to be ready soon for the ratepayers and all the customers to view the outage on the map on the website. So they're testing it right now. This project kind of put us a little bit behind the schedule due to COVID-19 and the malware attack that we had, that it basically changed the entire setup. Now we're going back to trying to recover. Once that project is completed, then we're going to start this power factor optimization, which is going to further even reduce the losses, and it's going to be bring more savings. The losses are going to be automatically taken care of by the cap banks and the system to lower. This is again kind of the analogy of the beer and foam, which you try to reduce the foam, and that's what this software is going to be able to do by reducing the losses further in the system automatically as the load comes on. So this is very, very important, project, which we are hoping to be completed, hopefully by end of the year, if not the first quarter of 2021, once the outage management system, IVR, is fully tested and functional. The other project, major project that is going on is the meter replacement project. As you know, RMLD has two metering system. One is AMI Eaton, the other one is AMR, that's ITRON, which is antiquated, basically 28,500 meters. They're at the end of the useful life, technology life, and we need to, change out those meters. We send the RFP out to see that, see where the prices are. The prices were all over. So we decided to conduct a study just to make sure we do the right thing and we pick the best option possible for the RMLD and the ratepayers. So the consultant, the Lemmerhirt consultant, was hired to do the study, and they are completing the analysis, and they're going to give us a recommendation by end of the year, which direction we got to go, or which one would be the best way to go. The next slide, please. Okay, these are the maintenance programs. I'm not going to go over all of them. You've seen that, at every report. Basically, there's something that we just started new is a primary metering testing that it's being done by Annexter. We have approximately 80 to 100 primary metering in the system that we are testing. Some of the equipments are antiquated and they need to be upgraded. So we're testing them for the accuracy as well as, the reliability, just to make sure that we replace them. And that's not going to cause an outage for our valued customers, especially the commercials and industrials. That's basically mostly where the primary meterings are. So that is being done right now. So far, approximately 22 sites that have been inspected, and we're expecting this project to end by mid-October. So that's a good thing. And then we're going to start replacing parts as needed based on the age and the prioritizing them. All other projects, they're moving along. We're good. The inspection of the feeders, that's another thing that it's being done by the line crews, and and we beefed up this inspection during the COVID crisis, and it's going well. All in all, we're making great progress on the maintenance of the equipment and the system. Next slide, please. This shows the age transformer replacement program. Basically, the transformers that they're aging with our target age is 25 and older. And we prioritize the transformers all over the system, and we upgrade them. Obviously, the 25 years old transformer is not going to be replaced, but it's going to on the list to be replaced, because we got many other still transformers that they're aged over 30, 35 years. We started this program 4 or 5 years ago. It's been very successful. That has had a major contribution to the reliability system, which, as you could see on the chart on the right, 38% of the transformers have reached 25 years or they're older than 25 years. 62% are under, which is good. This is a good number. You're never going to see that, 0%, because it's a moving target. As we upgrading some of the transformers, they're next ones in line that they're reaching the 25th to 25th birthday. So we put them on a schedule to replace. This project was going slow during the COVID-19, those the months that, were critical. But now we are catching up, because usually we are in anywhere in between 80 to 100 transformers a year. so we're catching up, and I'm expecting that, you know, by end of the year, we are close to 85, 90, which is good. Next slide, please. This slide shows the snapshot of the capital expenditures thus far. We are 5.5 million year to date, and we budgeted 11.5, and we got 6 million to go. So approximately by end of the year, we're going to be close to 8 million. So 8.5. Next slide, please. These are showing the double poles. Basically, you see, I'm not going to go over everything, but these shows that, you know, the number of poles that, you know, we need to transfer. You see in Linfield and Wilmington, these are the areas that we've done major construction, upgrades, and nothing that, you know, we haven't done in other towns. The other towns are also included, especially Reading. But, you know, these towns, these are the ones that, you know, our aged infrastructure are located. So, and we needed to do major, especially we wanted to do that before the winter this year. So to make the system stronger. So it's done. Now we are in the process of transferring our assets. It takes time. And again, it takes time because we didn't want to have a major impact on our customers. We do understand that, you know, the people are working from home. The kids also now, they're doing the schooling from the home. So we're trying to be very careful and be cognizant of the importance of the having power, making sure that we're not giving people outage if, you know, unnecessarily or with prior planning. Basically, we're giving them the notice, enough notice when it's convenient. Some of them that, you know, the transformer overheads, we just bypass them. So we do them live. But some of them, they require shutdown, but we try to work with the customers and schedule them in the convenient time. The next slide. This shows basically the status of our reliability. This is the health of our system. As you could see, it started for the past 5 years. The last year to date is for 2020 up to September. You could see that, you know, all the indices, SAIDI, KD, and SAFE, they're all well below the industry average, and actually the national average and the regional average. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can keep these. We've got only 2 more months to go. And I believe that, you know, we're going to finish the year, and hopefully, if we're not having any more storms, you know, we should be in very good shape. And, you know, all in all, the reliability is great. Next slide.
I'm hoping you're mounting those certificates from the national on your wall.
Yep. Oh yeah, we have 3 of them, John, and I'm sure this year we're going to get another one.
Excellent.
4th one. So again, it's all for the maintenance and all the capital improvements and everything, the constructions. You know, these are very important in order to you know, maintain the reliability. And again, I got to thank you all for helping us to achieve those goals. This slide shows the causes of outages as of September 2020. As you could see that this year, we've had 10 storms, which for the past 5 years to date, the average been 5. So we've had lots of, you know, storm. And as a result, we've had lots of trees that they came down as a result of this storm. And we have a good tree trimming program, but unfortunately, you know, during these storms and tornadoes or, you know, rains and here, there, the shallow roots of the pine trees, you know, they're bringing them down from across the street onto our lines, and, you know, then they make extensive damages. So we've also had a number of more wildlife problems, even though that we use wildlife protection for all the equipment to just cover the exposed parts. But the squirrels are very smart these days. You know, they find their way toward the toward the energized part, and, you know, they just, you know, get attracted. They go right underneath. So equipment, but the equipment, as you could see, you know, we are lower than the 5 years average, which shows that, you know, we are in the right direction, moving in the right direction. that basically concludes my meeting. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Oh, yes, Rob.
Hamid, on Main Street, I know you mentioned that we're doing some manhole work. Is there any conduit infrastructure that would need to be repaired, placed in parallel with the paving that's going to happen next year? Any siphons coming out of the underground, or did you check that?
Yes, what they've done during the manhole inspection, they checked the status of conduits at the same time too. It hasn't been flagged. Obviously, it's old. Because it's old, we're going to rip out unless if, we see that to be a problem. If we can get the cable right through the existing conduit, we're just going to leave it the way it is. Unless if the conduit collapsed, or we have no reason to believe that, there was any problem in the midsection or on either side of the manholes. But that's a very good question, Bob, because what we do when we do the inspection, we look at from both sides, the manholes. And obviously, if there is any problem, we put them in the capital authorization plan to replace them and fix them. But so far, it's been a manhole problem. The chimney wall, mostly because of the traffic and the age, the bricks been collapsing, and, the manhole covers were not fitting right, and here, there. And it was a safety issue that we addressed. We have addressed, and we only got 5 more left to do out of the 30, and they're going to be done in the spring. But these are not really in tough shape. It's something that needs attention, but it's not immediate safety concern.
We're not digging Main Street for 5 years after the spring.
So. Famous last words, Rob. Famous last words.
And the cable blows up in April.
Right.
You never know, in the electric, I've seen the strange things happen. Like, last month we had a cable failure during the rain. The water got into the conduit, and for some reason, we had the mid-span failure of the cable at station 4. And this is actually, we're getting to the next section. We replaced out of the 1,000 feet of cable, we only had 500 feet, 600 feet that we replaced, and we still got another 50% or 500 feet to go in order to replace it, which we didn't have the cable. We used all the cable available, and that's part of this bid. That next section that you're going to be going over.
Well, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go, John.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Secretary. Please do so.
Sent me an email, told me how to do it.
Yeah.
All right. It is number 11, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Move that bid number IFB 2020-15 hourly rates as needed distribution line work of all types be awarded to Power Line Contractors, Inc. pursuant to MGL Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 39M, as the lowest responsible and eligible bidder on the recommendation of the general manager.
You have a second?
Second motion.
Thank you, Rob. Discussion?
Okay, do you want me to explain that?
Yes, if you could.
Okay, by all means. We send the bid. This is a 3-year contract. Every 3 years, we send the bid out. We give the sample constructions, different type of constructions to the bidders. The bid was sent out to 13 companies. And out of the 13, we had 4 companies that they responded to the bid. And based on the scenarios that, we created, the lowest responsive bidder was Power Line Contractors that, we still have them. They're the same company that we're using today. So they came out the lowest, and the rest of them were really higher, about maybe $200,000 higher than them that they came out.
That's good. You've got some continuity then with this.
That's correct. The average for the past 3 years, with the last contract, we've spent approximately, the total to date, we spent $2.5 million for the past 3-4 years. But we've done major constructions that, without that, would have been almost impossible to achieve or do. So that's been really great.
Thank you.
Any
Are there
questions?
Any other questions? If not, could I have a roll call vote, please? Mr. Stempak, aye.
Hennessy, aye.
Thank you, Rob. Okay. Should we move on to the next one? Next motion?
Yes, okay, move that IFP 2020-38 for 750 MCM 15KV power cable be awarded to Arthur J. Hurley Company, Inc. for $178,851.15 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 164, Section 56D, on the recommendation of the general manager.
Second, please. Thank you, Rob. Any discussion? Perhaps a little bit of back. Oh, I think you talked about the background in terms of
Yes,
running out of
I
cable,
talked about
right? That's not good.
It's not. We just sent the only thing that I got to add. We sent a bid to 13 distributors, and we got 5 responses back. 4 of them, they did not give us the firm pricing because of the cost of the metal that keeps going up, down. So they did not, but the only one that gave us a firm price was the Arthur Hurley Incorporation. And the price that they gave us, it is in line with what they have been basically offering for past contracts since 2016. So it's been average of $13.50, $14. So it's very consistent with what they've done.
Thank you.
Colleen, oh, sorry. Hamid, why are so many other bidders not willing to give firm pricing then? Why is only one willing to do that?
Because of the escalation of the metal prices. So this is a strong company, and they have been they always give us the firm price. I don't know why, other than the cost of the metal that keeps going up, and also some of them they cannot commit to the delivery. So as I see, some of them they were committing to 12 to 14 weeks delivery, as opposed to 8 weeks that this company Arthur Hurley is committing to give us the overnight cable. And we need this cable to finish the rest of the route for the failure that we had last year. And, that's going to help us to finish that job. So the entire route is going to be brand new cable from the breaker to the manhole out in the street and riser pole.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Rob.
So, yeah. So I guess Hamid, one other question. In the general inventory that you maintain, it sounds like you're going out to bid for each individual pieces. Is number one is, would you be better off with a consistent supplier? In number two, what do we keep for a floating stock in?
We do. We generally try to keep 500 feet, anywhere 5 to 700. That's our minimum stocking level.
Yeah.
So whenever we go below that, you see that the bid is coming to do that. So this is going to give us enough to have for stocking as well as replacing the remaining part.
And okay, that 500. Yeah, you might be a thought to maybe increase that just because of situations like this. If you lose 1,000 feet or a section of manhole, maybe it might be best to keep a couple, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 feet of cable on hand. Maybe that maybe, something the board can consider. Sure, it would be an expenditure.
Sure, we could look into that. We could do that, except you got to be careful also for one thing. Because the cables, we can't this amount of cable, and we can't just keep them in the Barbus building. So it's going to have to be exposed in the environment. And if they stay there for too long,
we had a case a number of years ago where someone broke in and stole cable, as I recall, correct?
Yeah, it's got to be indoors. Yeah, it can't be outside.
Yeah, that's right. Indoor, and this is huge reels. These are 750 MCM cable.
Yeah, it's big
with,
stuff.
you know, almost inch and a half diameter, inch and a half. So it's big, and the vandalism and everything, you know, but we keep enough that usually we can find, we have enough. For the past 6 years that I've been here, this has been one of the major failures that we've had, and we used whatever we had in stock. And now this is the remaining plus some that is going to be left in the stock. But you're right, we should have enough just in case of the major failure we have. All the other feeders, by the way, they're all upgraded now recently based on the reliability study that we did with 5 years ago. So almost most of those feeders are brand new. So we got only a few more that we're scheduling for the next 3-4 years. Again, we go by the age and the priority. So as we go through the reliability improvements, those are going to be replaced and those are going to be upgraded. And then all the getaways, they're going to be brand new.
If there are no more questions, could I have a roll call vote, please? Mr. Stempak, aye.
Hennessy, aye.
But I,
Mr. Coulter, aye.
Thank you. Our item number 12 is just general discussion. Our next board meeting is Thursday, November 19th. And the CAB will be meeting prior to that meeting. And I believe Vice Chair Hennessy will be attending that meeting.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you. There were no account payable or payroll questions. So with that, could I have a motion to move into executive session, please?
So moved.
second.
But I need you to read it, though.
Move to adjourn to regular session. There's something more to read?
Oh, yeah, there's something in item number 13.
Oh, okay. Read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing.
Phil would be very disappointed in me. Move.
Gotta get you trained.
Move that the board go into executive session to consider the purchase of real property and to discuss confidential, competitively sensitive, or proprietary information in relation to making, selling, or distributing electric power and energy, in return to a regular session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Stempak, aye.
Hennessy, aye.
Talbot, aye.
Mr. Coulter, aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you in executive session in just a minute or two.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great comments.
Thank